Welcome to the Nightly Rant. I'm Mike.
And I'm Torya.
This is the show where we talk about the awful things that have happened in our day, the awesome things that have happened in our day,
and all the things in between.
Thanks for listening, and we truly hope you enjoy. Hello, guess who's back?
I'm back, but my voice sounds like death.
How are you feeling?
Better than yesterday, but still not good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Maybe it's the home stretch.
Let's hope you went. Maybe that fever that you got was like you hitting the peak and falling over the other side.
Maybe.
On the downward slope now.
Maybe the fever was burning the germs, incinerating them.
Sometimes.
That would be fabulous.
Quite honestly, though, from what I understand about biology, sometimes that's exactly what happens. Is your immune system is busy kicking some ass, and your body heats up. How bad was the fever?
It was like 99.8. So it wasn't horrendous.
Super mild,
it was super mild.
So that probably is what was going on.
It was germ incineration.
Super low grade.
Yeah.
So
it was enough to make the thermometer window turn orange instead of green, but it wasn't horrendous.
She uses this really weird Canadian thermometer that I've never seen one like that.
It's in Celsius instead of Fahrenheit.
Well, but I've never seen one like it. It's kind of, honestly, it's kind of cool. It has these lights that like.
It's basically idiot-proof.
Well, I can tell you, parents always, they take the temperature of their kid, and then they're, all nervous, and they're trying to read the temperature, and, when I was a kid, it was the freaking thermometer with the mercury inside of it that you put under your tongue, and your mom would be like, well, it looks like it's, just a little bit above 100, and she could barely tell. Then it switched to the digital, and then they're all nervous until they see that. But that thermometer is kind of cool because it flashes color. So
it's
you
green
either have
if you're normal, it's orange if you have a low-grade fever, and it turns red if you're dying.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really kind of cool because you can see as the temperature is being taken, they're probably going to be fine. There's no fever here, or they have a fever. It's kind of cool. But anyway, I was thinking about something, when I was flying solo yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Last night I had a talk about Dr. Matt because it seemed logical. You were sick, right. And I was explaining to them that you were sick. Explaining to all the listeners that you were sick, and just started talking about Dr. Matt. And I think I had like a 25-minute. No, it was like a 15-minute. It's like a 15-minute rant about direct primary care physicians, and I recommended people, go look it up. If they don't, I gave a geographic area and said if you live here, please don't look it up. Just go to Dr. Matt. Don't ask questions. Just go there.
Dr. Matt is the bomb diggity. How many doctors will call you while they're driving to find out what you needed? Give you all of this advice and then say, call me on Sunday if you're not feeling better, and I'll meet you at the office and get you some antibiotics. How many doctors?
Yeah, it's worth the very little money that we pay for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it made me think about something in kind of a humorous way. Also because of where I had to go pick Alyssa up yesterday. It kind of made me think of that too. But remember the crazy van driver?
Yes. Oh, the van driver.
So let me fill the listeners in. So, I'm cruising down one of the main streets here, and I get to another one of the main streets, and I'm in the right lane, and I pass by, I keep driving, I pass by the main street, and all of a sudden, this guy in a van swerves around me, goes into the left lane, and then comes and cuts me off, and quite literally cuts me off. It was on purpose. He pulled into my lane so sharply that had I not been careful, he could have clipped the front end of my car. And so then we're driving down, we get to the next major street. We get to the next major street, and I pull to the left. He purposely swerves into the left lane and then back into the right lane.
And then he goes into the turn
And then
lane.
proceeds to swoop over to the turn lane. Well, that made me angry because now, if there was any doubt before, did he do this on purpose? Now I know he did it on purpose. And so I look over my shoulder. There's no cars in either of the right lane or the turn lane. So I swoop over behind him. Well, now I guarantee you there's a brown stain on his seat because he's like, oh my God, they were all the way in the left lane and now they're right behind me. And so he turns the corner and he's going like normal speed. And I turn the corner and I catch up to him. And then he starts blasting down the street as fast as he can go.
He is like swerving all over the place.
Swerving to the left, swerving to the right, trying to make sure I can't pass him and get alongside of him. I finally gave up when we got to the other main street because we had someone waiting for us. But had we not had someone waiting for us, I probably would have followed him some more. But he was definitely afraid of the fact that I was following him. But so here's the point. Okay, there's a couple points that I see here. First of all, it's dangerous to drive like an idiot.
Well, he could have clipped your car multiple times. I mean, when you got behind him and he was swerving all over the road, he almost hit multiple other cars.
Yeah, he created a hazard on the road, is what you're saying.
He was a hazard on the road.
Yeah. And then that last thing that he did, why? Do you want to get killed? Like, seriously. What if, let's just say, he doesn't know who we were, right? We're in a car. We're in a car. He's never seen us before, as far as we know.
Right.
And, we just got to go by what we know, right?
Right.
As far as we know, he doesn't know us. What if we had a gun in the car?
Right? And you really were crazy. Pulled up next to him, that would be the end of his face.
Yeah, all because he thought it was cute to swerve in front of somebody. I mean, like, imagine what I was thinking last night was, imagine if that had been on the freeway.
Right.
Cars would have been swerving all over the place to try to avoid getting hit by this guy.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, but when you're doing 40, swerving right or left, you can control the car, no problem. When you're doing 65, 70, you could crash into a wall.
Time's a lot slower.
You could crash into a wall. Well, it's not that your response time's slower.
But it's your car's
more. No, your car gets more. Your car gets looser. So you're going faster. Your car gets loose. By the way, loose for you people out there, meaning if you watch racing, car doesn't stay in its lane as well. So if you're going 70 miles an hour, if you're going 40 miles an hour and you want to get into the right lane, and you're in the left lane, it's a more severe turn of the wheel. But when you're going 70 miles an hour, it's just a slight turn of the wheel because the car's looser. It's moving side to side more. It's getting pulled by the air and gravity and whatever the hell else is out there. Invisible
people.
Control
things that are moving at a higher speed.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Because they actually are more responsive, I think. But in any event, he was crazy.
He was the worst. And it's not even the first time that we've encountered somebody who drives like that along that stretch of road.
No, there's... See, so let's kind of make it even more clear for you guys. So, like, the way this town is built is it's very grid-like, okay, down around this area. There's not a lot of, like, windy roads. Everything is straight, and even, because we live in a major, like, metropolitan type area compared to, like, where you come from, where it's more rural. Even the city that you lived in Lethbridge was way more rural than what we have here. Now, granted, when we were driving around the city, it was a lot like here.
Yeah.
Except that your roads weren't all straight. Like, I can remember leaving the house that you lived at and, like, going down the road, and then, like, you turned left, then you turned right, and all of a sudden you're on this road that was, like, at a 45-degree angle to where you were going before.
That's because they built it as a ring road to go around.
Right, it was
a
circle.
City.
Yeah, there was a circle. But 5 minutes and you're out in the middle of nowhere. Like, quite literally, there's animals roaming around and you're out in the middle of nowhere. So, here's quite different. But, at the same time, because it's straight, it's like a grid. So, when we talk about, like, when I tell her when I'm coming home, where if I talk to her on the phone and I say, hey, honey, here's where I'm at, I'm on the main road, say Lincoln, And then I'm at Walker. Well, that tells her, well, okay, he has to cross Valley View and then where we live. And she just knows where, how long it's going to take. And so that's the thing. It's like it's like a grid section. And the thing about it is, as you're driving down that main road that we drive down, on the one main road, 2 away from us, you have an elementary school where the parents are just nuts. And they line up wherever they feel like it, and they don't bother to think about the fact that they're blocking traffic and no one can drive.
They line up in the main road on the street, and they just sit there.
Yeah, and then the other road, when you go one more block further than where this crazy guy swerved at us, there's a junior high school there. Now that's even worse because there's like a 2-part pickup system there. So like there's the parents who school gets out at 2:20, and then there's parents who come and hover at like 1:00, waiting in line to get their kids in the parking lot.
Those people are crazy in their own sense. Who wants to wait an hour and 20 minutes for your kid who won't hurry, so it'll turn into more like an hour and 40 minutes that you're just sitting there wasting your life because you wanted to pick your kid up in front of the school instead of like 30 feet away.
Right, and then there's the park. And what happens, though, at the park is people see the red zone, and they act like the red zone doesn't apply to them because they're just there picking up their kid. But like you just said, I mean, you could get there at exactly 2:20, but your kid's probably not coming out to like 2:35, 2:40. So you're going to spend 15, 20 minutes in the red zone? I mean, and then I've noticed even times when I've pulled up at that park, and I'll be like half in the red zone and half out, cars coming from behind me, that particular street has a jog like to the left.
Yeah.
A little bit. And so people are coming straight down that road, and you watch them, they lane change a little bit. They kind of cross over into the other lane because they're afraid they're going to hit you.
Right.
Now, if they were to...
like that crazy chick who hit you?
Yes.
When you weren't even in the red zone?
But if they stay in the lane, they would still be fine. I've done it many times. But they're bad drivers, and they swerve to the left. So, the point is, being considerate, right? I mean, it's a lot like what we talked about our neighbors the other night. People are inconsiderate. What do we always say? What did David say? You can count on people to do one thing. Think about themselves. And that is exactly what these people do. They just think about themselves. I have to pick up my kid, so I don't care that I'm blocking a lane of traffic. I'm just going to pick up my kid here. Oh, and that's the other one that drives me bananas.
What?
The ones who stop in the lane of traffic while their kid walks off the sidewalk into the car.
Or the people who stop in the lane of traffic at the other school to let their kid out.
Yeah.
Walk across the turn lane. Kid almost gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's a really dangerous area right after school. And then, like, the other day, I had Alyssa with me, and I was cruising towards that direction, and kids were coming out of school, and this kid, like, was messing with her friend, and her friend was on the sidewalk. She was in the bicycle lane that's off to the right, close to the turn lane. Mm-hmm. And she's coming down, and if you can picture this, people, picture her, driving straight towards traffic, so traffic's coming at her, so she's going the opposite direction of traffic, and she turns her head to look for her friend, and when she turns her head, she turns her arms the other way. Well, guess what happens? She drives right out into traffic.
Oh my God.
And guess who she drove right in front of?
You.
Me. And I had to jam on my brakes, and I was sure the person behind me was going to hit me, and we were going to kill her anyway. Because, it was close. It was like maybe 2 feet that I stopped before hitting her.
Wow.
And so, had I gotten rear-ended right then?
You're lucky that she's lucky that you were paying attention, and lucky the person behind you was paying attention.
Yes, because had I gotten hit, she'd have gotten hit. It's that simple. Like, it would have been a bad scene. And, once in my life, I was going to a gym in Long Beach, And I turned onto the street, went down, did my workout, coming back out, and all of a sudden something darts right in front of us, and we hear thunk. It was a cat, and we hit a cat because it ran. I mean, it committed suicide. It like ran into my tire. I, to this day, remember that and can't forget it. Like, you can only imagine if I hit a human being, what a mess I would be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, think about other people. Now, that's a kid. She made a stupid mistake.
Right.
And you know what's funny is that it's kind of natural when you think about it when you turn. It's kind of natural for your hands to turn the other way. So what she did was like totally what should have happened, but she just shouldn't have done it. I mean, why are you looking behind you when you're driving into traffic? Who does that?
Right.
So, between the psycho driver, the crazy parents and how they drop their kids off to school, and then the kids not paying any attention, or, by the way, complying with the law and having a helmet on.
It's a big old clusterfuck.
It is such a mess. I hate driving over there. And that's why we've taken to going a little bit later.
Well, yeah, and also then we don't have to wait at all.
I'm just tired of dealing with people who are inconsiderate and crazy.
Yeah.
So, here's an update on one of the situations we talked about the other day. Remember when we were talking about our inconsiderate neighbors, and I mentioned that the parking situation drives me cuckoo crazy?
Uh-huh.
Well, did you hear about the parking passes?
No.
You didn't hear about the parking passes?
No.
Well, it was kind of a double whammy.
I've been sleeping for 2 days.
Yeah, that's true. It is kind of a double whammy. First, we get this note on the door, and we're like, what the hell? Why is there a note on our door? And when I look at the note, it's about, we have authorized this blah, blah, blah towing company to tow cars from here when they're parked in the fire lanes and in the handicap spots, and if they're in the wrong spot. And then, wisely, because, the old manager, she was super diligent about things, but I think she realized that there's like limitations to what she could do. So like, if you're not 100% sure whether that car belongs to a resident or not, you can't, she didn't want to have it towed away. And then people say, well, wouldn't she know the cars? Shouldn't the cars be on file? Well, let me give you an example. How about the time that my car breaks down on a Wednesday,
and you have to get a rental car.
And I have to get a rental car.
Exactly.
I'm parked in my right spot. It's just not the same car. By any stretch, all of a sudden, instead of a nice red car, there's a white car in the parking spot, or a gray car in the parking spot.
You change cars all the time.
So, she knew the limitation. This new manager, she's taking it a step further because, everybody does what they do. Clearly, the old manager wasn't as irritated by the parking situation. The new manager, very irritated by the parking situation. So, she and the maintenance guy are going to be passing out parking passes. You get one per space that you have. If you have a guest, the guest has to display the parking pass. Well, now, if I have a rental car, I take the parking pass out of my car, put it in the rental car.
Right.
Then everybody in this building knows I belong in that parking spot. And I'm guessing that the parking permit is going to have your space number on it.
I would think so.
That would stop people from doing crazy things like parking wherever the hell they want.
Putting license plate number on it wouldn't work. But space number would.
Yes. Well, yeah, license plate number is not going to work for the same reason why looking for a red car isn't going to work.
Exactly.
But I'm really happy to see this because, it kind of makes people be a little more considerate because now it's not so anonymous. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
This way that it is now, it's so anonymous. You can pull into any space you want, and nobody knows who it is. Are you getting a scam call?
No.
On a Saturday?
Yeah, I told you I have to work on the weekend mornings.
Oh. Anyway. Wait a minute. Saturday and Sunday too?
Uh-huh. Those are the weekend days.
Okay. Who negotiates? Sorry, but we're gonna have throw down here. Who negotiates a contract where they work 7 days a week?
I told you what the hours were when I started. And
But that doesn't add up. But that doesn't add up to 30 hours a week. It adds up to 42.
36.
No, it adds up to 36.
Are only 3-hour days on the weekends. 2 to 3 hours on the weekends, just answering the emails and finishing stuff up from the week.
Not sure I like that. I think you need to hire someone to do the work on the weekends. That's what I think.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Anyway, for now it's fine, but I don't love that at all. I don't like that arrangement. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. So what do you think about this parking passes situation?
Seems interesting. We'll see how it works.
Do you think it'll actually fix the problem?
I think some people are going to get towed before it fixes the problem.
Why do you think that? I have an idea.
Because I think people are idiots, and I think they're going to be like, well, they're not going to do anything about it. I'm going to park here anyway.
Do you think they're just not going to use the parking passes? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. I think that people are going to use their parking passes, and then when they have a guest over, they're just going to let their guest park wherever they want in any given space, like they do now.
You're probably right. And I think the only way... it's true. People are weird. All people. Me, you, we're all included in this. We learn most of the time by doing something that causes us a little bit of pain. And then we learn not to do that thing again.
Right.
And I think you're right. I think what's going to happen is someone's poor guest is going to get their car towed away and have a huge bill to pay. And then the word's going to get out. It's kind of like, okay, do you remember when I started my little campaign about that corner because it would drive me crazy that I'd go to turn the corner and there'd be a car parked right there, a big old truck parked right there, and it was in the crosswalk?
Yeah.
Well, it took twice of someone getting a ticket, and I have yet to see a car parked in the crosswalk again.
They're still too close to the intersection, but they're no longer in the crosswalk.
Agreed. But apparently, from the police department's perspective, because it's not painted red on that corner, they're allowed to be there, as long as they're not in the crosswalk.
Huh.
Now, I disagree because I looked up the California's vehicle code.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be 15 feet away from the crosswalk.
Maybe someone should come and paint the corner.
And they are far from 15 feet away from the parking spot. But I'm okay with it because my biggest problem was as I would turn the corner, they're in my turn lane. Like, they're right there.
Right.
And I'd almost hit them, and it drove me crazy. Now I don't have that problem. But the point being, it took those 2 times, and then I don't know how word gets out, but nobody parks down on the crosswalk anymore. I think it was
probably only a couple of people that were being inconsiderate in parking like that.
And they got tickets, so...
Or saw the other person get the ticket.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they just... You sound great. They learned from that not to do it.
Right.
So maybe that's what's going to happen here. We're going to have people towed away.
I'm sure a couple people get towed and then it'll resolve itself and everything will go back to the way it should be.
Well, one really serious major improvement in the policy is that before, if someone was parked on the ramp and like blocking the ramp, you could not tow them away unless you showed like in your lease that your parking spot was right near there and it was causing you difficulty. Now, if they're in a handicap spot, if they're in a spot without their permit, if they're parked on the fire lane on the ramp or down below, or even at the curve, where you curve up to drive up the ramp, you can call and they can be towed away. They have authorization to take them away. My
bet is people are still going to park in the curve, but that they'll stay in their car.
Yep, or stay there less long.
Yeah.
Like, we've had people park there when they have parties and they just park there.
Park there overnight, etc.
So that'll stop. So that's good. I think we're making positive strides going in the right direction again. Because that's what scared me was like the last manager was making positive strides. I mean, we were commenting about how much nicer people were in the building. I mean, like that first crowd of people that left and a new crowd came in right when the new manager came.
Yeah.
That improved the building. The old manager did a great job of that. Improved the building by, bringing in better tenants. Right. And thankfully, the new manager has done 2 things. She has continued to try to bring in better tenants, and 3 things, actually. Continue to get in better tenants, kick out the ones who are troublemakers, and then enforce rules.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, the cigarette smoking one, I had a chat with her yesterday. That's going to turn into a full-out war if the cigarette smokers aren't careful.
That's funny.
So, hey, if any of you in this building who know us and are listening to this and you smoke, if you want to continue to live here and smoke, don't smoke where she tells you not to smoke, because she's dead serious. It's going to be war.
People are going to get in trouble.
Yep. So, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about today?
Well, I think that was everything we wanted to talk about.
All right. Well, don't forget to go over to Patreon. If you like this kind of content, and clearly you do because you're still listening, you're going to love the Patreon content. And you can start as low as $1 a month. I have a $1 level, a $2 level, a $3 level, a $5 level, a $10 level, and a $20 level. And then I have a $30 sponsor level. Now, if you get to the sponsor level, here's what you get. You get all of my content included for the $30. Think about this. Then I advertise you on my Patreon content, and I will advertise you on this show, and I will advertise you on Fitness Freedom. The only one I won't advertise you on is Peeling the Orange, because I have a co-host, and I don't think it's fair for me to push that on his audience as well. So, you know. But get over there to Patreon. It's patreon.com/Michael Mahoney, and it's spelled Mahony. There's some free content there. We have a similar podcast to this one there called Chatting with Mike and Torya, but it's a lot more first of all, I think we cuss more on that one.
Well, yeah,
and
I do like to swear.
And it's a lot more freeform. It's shorter. We hit the topic hard, and we're done. So you can get that at the $10 level. Okay? But I have a free episode there. So try it out. Listen to some of the free stuff. See if you like it. There's audio podcasts, video podcasts. There's I share photos sometimes when we go on, like, we went, where the heck did we go recently?
Apple picking.
I put up a video about that. Oh, and then Melissa's CrossFit competition. I put up a video about that. And it's just, snippets of the day. It's like our adventures. And so go ahead and give that a try, please. We would really appreciate it. Every $1 helps us out. And it helps us to make more content like this. And if we can get to 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers, we can almost do it as a full-time job, depending on the price level that someone pits at. If we could get 500 people to sign up at just the $10 level a month, I would have a lot more time to create content. So wouldn't have to worry.
Much content.
Wouldn't have to worry about too much else from the income perspective. So, all right, babe. Well, I hope you feel better, honey.
I do too. I'm tired of sounding like a scratchy frog.
Yeah, well, I'm glad, that you called Dr. Matt yesterday, and I'm glad that he gave you the advice he gave you. And it makes me feel better that at least if this doesn't, if this gets worse, you've got an option for getting something taken care of.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, people. Well, thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
It's been fun.
Hasta la bye-bye. Hey, this is Mike, and I just wanted to tell you that if you enjoyed the show, and I truly hope you did, you can subscribe on iTunes or Google Play and not miss a single episode. But if you happened to miss an episode and you didn't find it on Google Play or iTunes for some reason, you could go to our website, which is thenightly.rant.wordpress.com.